Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. If you ever advise someone to do something that isn't their job and they go, okay, I'll do it, but I'll not be held responsible for the consequences, please listen to the Star Trek Red Alert klaxon going off inside your brain. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like if you enjoy the content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a juicy story. I work in IT at a food processing plant. Have a story. I worked as an IT technician at a food processing plant, mainly chicken. My day-to-day routines have always been stretched from normal IT tasks such as assisting the end users with various issues that they can normally fix themselves, but whatever, it's what I get paid for, configuring new ports and/or old ports for new cables being ran, to the more production-related tasks such as label printers not printing, mainly due to the fact that it's a new hire running that line and their supervisors don't know jack squat and never bothered to show them. And I had to fix it as far as the scale not generating either any weight or the correct weight. It's going to be a somewhat lengthy story because I want to give as much detail as I can, but here it goes. One day I was in my office when I got called over the radio. The company I work for has a great habit of jabbering over the radio when at the time we only have one repeater working, and I got called over to investigate. When I got there, I was told that for some reason the weight wasn't showing on the workstation in order to print a label. After some investigating, checking the serial cable, making sure the COM ports are active, and using Hyperterminal, I found out that the scale was working, but the weight was not being read correctly at all and needed to be recalibrated. I took a picture of the scale, too, for documentation. I told one of the supervisors this, and I was told, but your IT, you could calibrate it too, can't you? To which I said, technically I could, but it wouldn't be certified for use. Now, some of you are probably wondering, if your IT, couldn't you calibrate it? And technically you'd be right, but I can't. I'll explain why. You see, when working with food, you have to use a scale that's been certified by someone who's received training by the state. Once the scale has been calibrated, that someone will certify it by placing a sticker on top of the scale head and sign and date the sticker to show it's certified for use. USDA and the QA department will be checking for those stickers, and if they find someone running product that doesn't have a sticker, well, it's bad times. Keep this in mind as I dig further into their story. So the supervisor, he didn't like that answer all that well, and he gave me a direct order to get that scale operational. Keep in mind also that I don't report to anyone who works on the production floor. I have a boss, and he ain't it. However, though, since he wanted to go that route, a thought popped up in my head. The convo basically went like this. Me: sir, I can get the scale calibrated, but you'd still need someone to certify the scale before using it. Soup: I don't care. We got product to move, and if you can calibrate it, then calibrate it. Me: now understand, sir, that if you do this, I cannot be held liable for what you're about to do. Soup: you just get that scale working. I'll worry about the rest. So I did. And it wasn't hard, to be honest. I got the scale working. This guy nearly shoved me out of the way to get someone else to run the line. Didn't bother getting a guy to certify the scale. Instead, he tried to peel off a sticker from a scale not being used and slapped it onto the scale. This was too good to pass up, so I decided to take a picture of it as well, since everyone knows I use my phone regardless, and thought nothing of it. After some time passed, I left and went back to my office. I decided to get some other tasks done when I got a call from the QA department, and I remember how this one went, so buckle up. Me: hello, IT department, how can I help you? QA: hey, is this OP? Me: yes, how can I help you? QA: yes, I was told by USDA that there was a scale that didn't have a current certification sticker on it, yet you're still running product. Were you aware of this? Me: yes, I was aware, and I had advised the supervisor in that area that if I calibrated it, he would still need to get that scale certified. QA: well, the supervisor told me that you just went ahead and did it, stood there for a little while, and just left. Me: ma'am, I can assure you that I wasn't the one at fault here. I have photos that can prove my case. QA: well, go ahead and send them. And I did. I sent the photo of the scale with its original sticker, as well as the sticker that was placed while the supervisor was placing it onto the scale head. After seeing the photos, the QA manager apologized for the false accusations and spoke no further about it and hung up. Apparently, QA and USDA had to shut down that particular line because since the scale still wasn't certified, they cannot run product regardless of how backed up they are and how they are trying to meet quota. You can't cut corners when it comes to food, people. It's just not good business. Needless to say, that supervisor was released from duty as management can see he was not fit to handle his job well. Moral of the story here is that the rules and standards in the food industry are there to keep things stable. You mess that up, and you mess up everything around you. Hope you all enjoyed this read, and have a nice day. And our second story. Karen calls animal control on healthy, happy dogs. My fiance and I just bought a house in the suburbs a few months ago with a giant backyard. The previous owner bred and trained Malinois police dogs, so our entire house is set up for multiple big, energetic dogs. Half acre with a big chain-link fence, doggy door to the attached garage, plus it's on a corner lot that backs up to a freaking dog park. So given the fact that we have a dog's dream backyard, we adopted a second dog to keep our 7-year-old collie mix company. The new dog's a bulldog mix, we think, and is as energetic as she is tough, and will choose to stay out in the cold far longer than the collie. Enter the Karen. My fiance, who works from home, got a knock on our door today from a lovely and sympathetic employee of our local animal control. Apparently, a former city councilwoman was walking her dog along the sidewalk to the dog park that goes 5 feet from our fence and took it upon herself to call animal control for our poor, abused dogs, citing a lack of food, water, and shelter. You don't leave food out for most dogs all day like you do with a cat. Some can graze all day, but most dogs will eat until they puke and then eat their puke. Doesn't everyone know that? I knew that before I ever owned a dog. It's January in Missouri. Dehydration isn't a huge concern right now. I'd be far more concerned about temperature, but our bulldog doesn't seem to mind and will stay out for hours happily in 35-degree Fahrenheit temperatures, and even ran around for half an hour in 15-degree Fahrenheit before she wanted to come in. Plus, there's 2 big water bowls for them right inside. It's a huge fenced-in yard with a deck, an inflatable hot tub, and a few nice deck chairs and a little sitting area off to the side. Point being, there's tons of little nooks and crannies that there could have been water or food hiding out of view. Did she trespass in order to determine that? The local ordinance states that there has to be a shelter, unless you have a doggy door. We have a doggy door on the garage that faces the park. You can clearly see it from the fence line. And even if we didn't, it's a ranch. We can open the kitchen door if we hear them ask to come inside. The dogs are well fed, one starting to get a little bit on the chunky side, well hydrated, and we check on them regularly when they're outside, and can hear them scratch the door or whine when they want to come in. They never stay out overnight or when we're gone, plus they have cute little matching doggy sweaters to keep warm. These dogs are spoiled, not abused. When the animal control guy knocked on our door, even he acted like it was a ridiculous waste of time. So sincerely, F you, former city councilwoman Karen. Edit. A few people in the comments are saying they'd side with Karen and err on the side of caution. I get that if there had been any signs of abuse whatsoever. I get it. If you saw a red flag, then better safe than sorry. But trust me, there were no red flags. I'm certain there's no visible signs of abuse going on because I'm certain I'm not abusing my dogs. As mentioned a few times, these dogs are closer to being spoiled than abused, and that should be abundantly clear to anyone who observes our family, be it for a minute or a week. Only a Karen would have seen our situation and felt it warranted government intervention. I've also seen several comments suggesting I concoct some sort of revenge. No, folks, I'm not doing that. That's fighting Karens with more Karens. Now, if the complaints continue from the same person, I might take some action, but the high road is the only right road to take in this instance, and most instances, after all. That's what makes the high road the high road. We emailed Animal Control a picture of the doggy door, and they now have proof of our compliance on record, so if they receive the same complaint again, they won't even bother contacting us because they'll see it's a false claim. My question is, how the heck long did Karen stand outside your fence and watch your house before she determined that your dog had been outside in the cold for an unreasonable amount of time? Is she stalking you? Just because a dog's outside in a run or fenced yard doesn't mean it's neglected or abused, starved, denied water, shelter, or heat. And our next story. No, the kids and I don't work at the happiest place on earth. I recently spent some time with my wife and son and some friends of ours and the kids at this park, and this incident stuck in my head. I'm probably a little more annoyed about it than I should be, but it's been a long day and I was tired and my civility filter wasn't fully on anymore. It was getting late and all of us were getting hungry, so we decided to take a break and grab dinner at the French market. The food there isn't bad, and they have beignets that the kids would love after dinner. It was packed, and while we were waiting in line, I saw a table big enough for all 8 of us open up, so I hopped out of line to grab it. My wife and the other 2 parents went in to get food while I stayed with the kids. None of the cast members were nearby, so the kids and I cleaned the table ourselves, got together all the trays, picked up the plates, tossed the trash left behind, everything we needed to do so that we could use it ourselves. We finish up, I finally sit down, and while I'm talking to my son, I feel a tap on my shoulder. I assumed it was one of the other kids and look over to see a lady I don't know leaning in way too close to me. She points to the tables next to us and just says, "Well, aren't you going to clean that one too?" I'll admit to being a little flabbergasted at this point. Apparently, she'd just seen me and 4 kids, all under 10, clean up a table for ourselves and somehow assumed that we were doing it for all of them. My only response was, "That ain't my crap," and then I turned back to finish talking with my son. At this point, I'm only slightly paying attention to them and talking with the kids as I see her and 3 other adults do their own clearing and then spend their time grumbling about having to do it themselves. How do people this clueless even manage to survive long enough to become an adult in the first place? And our last story. They tried to force me to join an HOA. So I just bought an older historic home after moving out of a house with a crap HOA. Part of the reason for the move was because of having to pay for a HOA. It was hard enough to find a neighborhood without one, as it seems every single new development has come with some bullcrap HOA, so I resorted to a neighborhood that was built right before World War I. The area is in the process of being gentrified, of which I heard rumblings of people interested in eventually forming an HOA to protect the interests and historic integrity of the neighborhood. I refused to sign anything involving an HOA and want no part of it. Update. And so a few months later, the papers were on my desk. I refused to sign them and threw them in the trash. Then they hit me with fines for not following the rules. Very stupid ones at that. My lawyer said that paying the fines could be considered an acceptance of their authority and, from a legal point of view, equal to my signature on their papers. So I didn't pay any fines. Then they sued me, and I made sure to appear in court, not only because failure to appear would result in a default judgment in favor of the HOA, but also to see the look on the judge's face as he laughingly escorted the HOA out of the courtroom. They never bothered me again. Wow, dealing with that HOA sounds like a real headache. It's annoying when you just want to live in your home without all the hassle of rules and fees. Good for you sticking to your guns and saying no to the HOA. You shouldn't have to be a part of something you don't believe in. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.